How's it going, everybody? My name is Ged. This is Fabulous Flicks. That apparently is Damon Targaryen. And with me, as always, Mr. Tyler, the Rogue Leader. How are you, my friend?
Man, I'm smiling right now just because I'm noticing that there's no neck beard.
Yes.
That's another story for another day, but
No. We can quickly touch on this. I personally got trolled for the first time ever on the internet the other day. I was with Tyler doing something on The Last Jedi, which, if you're in the Star Wars lore at all, is a very controversial movie. I'm one of the rare people that like it. Cinematically, I enjoy it. But my goodness, not only do people not agree with me, and we knew that there would be a bit of backlash on this, but it's the first time I've actually got like personally attacked on the internet. Part of me was actually kind of pumped. I can see how like people can take it to the extreme, and after a while, it would become very hurtful. I'm not a very popular human being, so I kind of had a good laugh
you
at it.
struck a chord with some people, so
I
you're having some
I
impact on
I did.
lives.
I did when people get very passionate about their Space Wars and laser swords movies.
It's religion.
But that is
Come on.
but that is not why we're here tonight. So this is episode 5. We light the way. I've got about 5 topics to touch on. A couple of them are going to take no time. One of them I'm going to try not to vomit in my mouth during. This is so much to unpack. So here are the categories for the night. Damon becomes single. All the feels come out. Damon, that's all. A marriage of understanding. Sir Kristen loses it. And what in the actual fuck happens at the end of this episode? So let's just dive right into this because we're trying to keep these to a decent length. To the absolute legend himself that just commented in. The gentleman who just clocked in, by the way, his name is Denung. He just covered TIFF. He is an incredible host himself. You, my friend, are an absolute star. I'm so pumped for what you've been doing. So I'm totally calling you out. Denung started with details, covering some crazy cool basketball stuff with Raptors 905, just covered TIFF with ET Canada. I'm telling you, man, I love what you're doing. I'm just pumped that you're actually watching. Okay, so back to this. Damon becomes single. We get to meet Damon's first lady wife, Lady Rhea. And she's part of the episode for about 4 minutes. Let's get your quick thoughts on this one, Ty.
So going into this week, they actually released some like photos of the episode and said we were going to get to meet the wife. So I was expecting her to have, cause some drama, like actually have some lines to chew on, but she more or less chewed on a rock. So
yeah. The fact that she chirps him.
Pretty quick exit.
Yeah, the fact that she chirps him with the actual the things being, or the sheep being prettier. That is just too much. Yeah, she dies real fast. And again, Matt Smith has the ability so far to nail a scene and not say a word. The other episode, he did it when he took out the crab feeder. Same thing. He starts this thing off with a bang. Does not use a single word, and
He's
makes
also
an impact.
killing it in like a villain role.
No pun intended. What's that?
He's also killing it like in the role of a villain as well. Like he's by far the standout of the show.
Oh, because you'd love to hate him. When you can love to hate that character, I mean, it's incredible. All right, so next is all the feels come out. We have a little sappy moment here with Sir Kristen. He proposes that him and Rhaenyra get on a ship and they sail away, and she leaves her title and they can marry for love instead of the agreed upon Selenar Velaryon. She very quickly does a 180 on this whole I want to marry for love thing. She instantly is part of the crown.
Yeah, and I get the conversation. I find it interesting, and we'll discuss it later, is she then proposes the same thing that he does to her to somebody else.
Yeah.
So like it's like where does your
topic.
I know, like where does your true love lie? So anyways, she like I don't know, like does she just full on like side piece? Like that's what she wants with Sir Christian? Like I think that's how I feel at the moment. Like, you know,
Well, he basically says, "You want me to be your whore."
yeah. And I think that's what she wants, truly. When you look at some of her other actions
I
though.
don't think so. I think that she's very smitten with Sir Kristen. Millie Alcock, who plays Rhaenyra, has done an incredible job. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
Uh,
Has done an amazing job of how convincing her feelings are for Sir Kristen. Like, this is not just a fling. It's not just intimacy. Like, there's a ton of feelings there. So I don't necessarily agree that she wants to keep him as her whore, but she wants him there as her confidant, as her sworn protector, as somebody that she has a crazy amount of feelings for, but it could never be official. And I think that there's a big difference there.
yeah. And that's the thing. It can never be official. Yes, she does feel for him, but it's not enough to like turn the world upside down and just give up the right to the crown. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's not 100% there. Like maybe it gets there in the future, but right now she's like most Targaryens, like she's focused on the throne, right? Which is why she's going through with, the wedding.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. A marriage of understanding. Now, this is very obviously a very sensitive topic when it gets into this sort of stuff. But I think that they did this really well. Obviously, Sir Leonor is in love. However, he is in love with Joffrey Lonmouth, who is, if I'm not mistaken, his sworn protector. Yes,
Sorry.
his name is Lonmouth.
Longmouth, okay.
Yeah, and they call him the Kissing Prince. Apparently, is what he refers to himself as when he meets Sir Kristen. So obviously, there's going to need to be some compromise there, but I love the way that it was delivered. Like, they grew up together, they're comfortable. She talks about it being the difference between some people like eating duck and some people like eating goose, and the analogy and how tasteful it was of, well, some people like goose just fine, I find it a bit too greasy. But the understanding they have is so genuine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was more or less like, listen, like we both understand our service to our fathers,
Mm-hmm.
but we also both love somebody else. So let's just do our duty, and as long as we agree, we can have our two things on the side, and
Yep.
let's make it work.
And in
And
theory, this
obviously
would
they
work
got to
out
keep that,
well, right?
yeah, and you got to keep that a secret, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in theory it could work out well, but yeah, again, you're with the secrecy and stuff like that, you're just begging for drama to happen, and
Yeah, I mean, that's
doesn't take very long to happen either.
right. But I mean, in theory, this would work out because uh they're both their sworn protectors. So if Sir
Yeah,
Kristen is by the side of Rhaenyra, and Sir Lonmouth is or Lonmouth, I might be saying it wrong, is at the side of Laenor, nobody would assume the wiser. Like, in theory, you couldn't ask for a better double life.
yeah, and I guess they just have to make it to succession, right? Like once the king's out and they're rulers, history has shown us they could have as many spouses and bastards and all that stuff, right? Like no one, no one can challenge the throne because you're sleeping
Well,
around. But
yeah.
before they're announced, though, like if people find out that she is no longer, what was the word they were using last episode?
A maiden?
Virtue or virtue?
She's
Her
no
virtue?
longer a maiden.
A maiden?
Yeah,
So
that maiden voyage has set sailed, we think.
yeah. So if people find out that maiden voyage has already been taken, then
Yeah.
that compromises her claim to the throne.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's the risk, right?
So this obviously goes sideways real fast, and you might not necessarily agree with why I think it went sideways, but let's before we get into the absolute shitstorm that this turned into, the next point I have is Damon ... That's all. So this guy shows up, gets a last minute seat at the table, probably wasn't even invited.
I
Gets
love the king's
accused-
reaction, just like, ugh. get him a chair. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, son
it's
of a
like,
bitch. Just get him
I
a
friggin'
chair.
hate this guy, but we're blood related, so now he has to sit at this head table.
And I feel like at every wedding, that happens. Like that one person you really didn't want to invite, or
Yeah,
maybe sometimes you didn't necessarily invite them, and they just show up and you just kind of go with the flow.
yeah,
I mean, it happens.
it's
But
crazy how
yeah,
funny.
so Damon shows up, gets accused, rightfully so, of murdering his lady wife by her uncle, and he's such an asshole. He's like, "And you are?"
Yeah,
He's like, "I'm Sir something Royce." He's like,
yeah,
and then he flips it and talks about his inheritance.
yeah.
Like,
So
oh my
when am I getting your
god.
kingdom?
Yeah. Yeah. So not only are you right that I killed your niece, I technically inherit your kingdom. And the guy was just baffled.
Yeah,
So then he drags, so then he flirts a little bit with Lady Raynar, who was originally going to be betrothed maybe to the king.
that's when she
That's
was like a smaller child, right? So she's a little
Yep,
more grown up.
a
Yeah,
little more grown up, and she's sassy. Like she's got that spiteful blood of the dragon look to her. She's very openly flirting with Damon. You know, he makes a joke, "You're almost as pretty as your brother," and she's like, "Oh, you
yeah,
flatter me, my prince." Like just like digging in and edging into it. And they talk about getting to know each other better, and she's completely on board. And then there's the exchange with Rhaenyra. So let's cut right to this. You talked about a minute ago how Rhaenyra is asked the exact same thing that she asks to somebody else later on in the episode. So just to quickly summarize this, he pulls her aside. He basically says that, Laener's a great guy, but she's going to be bored. And she's like, well, then why don't you take me? Why don't you go through my king's guard, cut him down, take me away to Dragonstone, and make me be your wife? Isn't that what you really want? So the first question is, was this sincere, or is she just
yeah.
egging him on?
Yeah, is it genuine? Yeah, or is she playing him because she knows he has a thing for her? And the way things have been happening, I think she's like mostly sincere.
Yeah.
I think Damon's her guy. She has ever since the first episode, there is some sort of
Weird.
connection there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say that she's baiting him. I want to say that she's just fucking with them a little,
Yeah.
but I don't know. When he when he leaves her in that pleasure house, like she is distraught. Like she is that person that is completely vulnerable, whereas she's very much in control of the her and Kristen thing.
Yeah.
Her and the Sir Kristen thing. She is not when it comes to Damon. Like
No.
Damon is
She's
fully in
just
control of that, and she
yeah.
absolutely lets him.
Yeah.
I think there is a part of her that is sincere,
Yeah, and
which
she's
is
learning all these other things from him. All this stuff she's never
100%.
seen or thought she could do, and he does them all because he just, quite frankly, doesn't give a shit about any of the
Mhm,
rules and stuff like that that proper kings and princes and whatnot are supposed to have.
mhm.
Um, I want to talk about the scene almost in general because we talked last week on how was it just a coincidence all the stuff in like the brothel and stuff happened, or was stuff very intentional? And we kind of talked about how we won't know till further down the
Yep.
road, right? The whole pulling off the hat, like did he want her to get caught? His ex is the spy master. I think they called her Gray Worm or White Worm. Like,
The
did he
white
know?
white worm or the
Yeah,
white snake. Yep.
yeah. Did she know that she was going to do that? And then flash forward to this episode. Um, like first off, the dance scene, I was just like, what's going on here? Like, why are we wasting so much on this dance? Just random shots. And
It
then
is kinda
it just
strange.
got super like menacing. I don't know what it was. Like I got as soon as Damon took the floor, like I just got pulled right in. And
Yep.
he does this slow weave through the crowd to go get her. He tells that I don't know, was it a new character who he says talks to and says, like, let me talk to the princess,
Yep.
takes her away perfectly so that
Mhm.
she can't see, the king doesn't have a full eye on what's going on,
Yep.
right? And then, says his sort of piece. And then we'll talk about obviously what happens later, but then we just don't see how anything finished. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and he's gone.
there's so
All
much
hell breaks loose, he's done, he's out.
exactly. Like there's so much mystery being planted from Damon's side that
Mhm.
I can't help but feel like it's leading to probably a pretty like some sort of not necessarily a reveal, but it's gonna like go down the path of like some crazy, scheme that he's been working on that maybe we'll look back and be like, wow, the clues have been there this entire time. But I was like I said, when the dancing started, I was kind of like, what the heck's going on? Like, this is such a strange episode. I even texted you that. And then all of a sudden, all that stuff went down. So
Yeah.
Damon is playing some sort of game, and I think he 100% wants Rainier. Like that's
And remember,
we
he
talked
he
about
go
he
he
he,
goes
he
to the
got rid of
king.
his
He
wife.
says,
Yeah,
"Give me Rhaenyra." This is
yeah,
something that is not weird and it's not abnormal.
yeah,
The House of Targaryen, give me Rhaenyra. She'll be
yeah.
mine. She'll be my wife. Everything will be great.
And things in his way, right? Was he was already married. He took care of that at the beginning of this episode.
In a crushing fashion.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, again, we referred last episode, was she doesn't really have as much chance because she's next in line for succession. But by exposing her at the brothel house, I feel like he's trying to get her bumped off that track a little bit, to like whether or not it falls onto him or someone else. But he's really causing drama to put himself in a position potentially for her, whether it's through
Mm-hmm.
aftermath or through his seductive ways. Like he's playing the Game of Thrones right now.
This is kind of way off topic, but if you circle all the way back to the first episode, you really only begin to see the king getting very sick from sitting on the throne after Damon has sat in it.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Because after Damon has sat in the throne, his finger gets pricked. They have to remove the finger. He's now covered in boils. Like, did Damon poison him?
I don't know. People have well,
Like
it's been years, right? Like
it
it's been a
looks
lot
like
of
he gets
years ago.
grayscale, right? His literal
Yeah.
body's just literally falling apart. It
Yeah. I've heard
literally
some people
looks like it started
say
after that.
it's like it's because he's not worthy to sit on the throne, but like I don't know. Does the throne of swords really have some sort of like curse or
Hmm.
conscious to like prove? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that after the scene in the first episode where he's sitting on the throne, that this starts to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a huge stretch. All right, so anyway, all hell breaks loose. I'm going to say this is probably going to be super unpopular. It is no one else's fault other than Joffrey Lawnmouth that this melee breaks out. This dumbass has a quick little meeting with Sir Kristen Cole in the worst possible moment. I think the intention was genuine, like, hey, I care for him as much as you care for her. Let's
Yeah.
make sure we look after them. But he does it in such a way, something happens. We don't know what happened, obviously, but all hell breaks loose. And there are a couple
Yeah.
wild moments in this scene. First of all, Sir Harwin Strong, guy's a stud. He's the one who the hand signals to find Rhaenyra. He
Yeah.
literally bowls through about 10, 15 guys, picks her up and gets her out of there. Very cool moment. I don't know who this guy is, but it was incredible. And then obviously the face mashing.
Yeah. Just classic Game of Thrones brutality.
Oh God.
But yeah, what a like
How
how I alluded to it, like
how
what
did
a
it start?
bizarre, strange scene. Yeah, like they obviously don't show us with him smashing him. Like logically, you think it's because he knows his secret and he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want other people to know. But then why did he go tell the queen before that and like
Oh
basically
my God,
say,
the
"Give
worst
me, give
confession
me a
in
quick death.
history.
Yeah, give me a quick death, please." And the queen's baffled because she thought she lost her virtue
To
to
Damon.
Damon and didn't realize she was with a totally different person.
It was with Sir Kristen, same night.
Yeah. So
And he
like
just
she's befuddled and
babbles.
doesn't know what to do, but he basically confessed there. So it's like it's almost like he doesn't care about the secret because she's not willing to give up the crown for him. So would he go to that much lengths to beat the living piss out of that guy?
I don't know. Something happened. We obviously don't know what it is.
And like you said, Damon was there, said some stuff, and then people get in the way, they're screaming, and he's just gone. So did Damon do something or egg something on? And
Mm-hmm.
then the other piece too that I thought was interesting, but there's nothing really come of it, but maybe there is behind the scenes, is when the queen enters the thing, she's wearing the green dress, the emerald dress,
Call to arms
and
for Hightown
yeah, for
of
Old Town, like
Hightower.
that was the color of war or whatever, like that. And she
Yep.
sat up there like, okay, is she going to expose everyone? She never does anything. But did she have someone from her family, or did she have someone else working their magic on the dance floor to set something up?
Never
I
thought of
don't.
that.
Yeah, like that
I
was one
that
thing.
is that is a great point. Did
Yeah,
she start it with and Sir Kristen happened to be there,
yeah,
and so did Joffrey. I'm not going to
yeah,
stop calling him Lawnmouth. Joffrey's there, Sir Kristen's there,
yeah,
Laenar's there, and it just does she plant the person that sets it off? Because only Joffrey knows. Well, Joffrey thinks he knows.
yeah. They're the three that
Laenor
know,
thinks he
right?
knows,
Yeah,
but the queen is the only one that knows. Does she
yeah.
set that into action? Yeah,
Yeah, and it was like
yeah.
weird. We don't actually see anything. It's just I just found the reference to her wearing the war. I'm going to war
I
dress.
love it.
Basically, was like I'm like,
I
and
think
then
you've nailed it,
yeah,
man.
yeah. I think
I
there's
absolutely think you've nailed it.
yeah. So I definitely think like there's just like again like I love a little mystery in the show. You know what I mean?
Yep,
Like don't let it drag on for 5 seasons, but I think they did a really cool job and setup here. Like again,
yep.
it depends on what the payoff is, but
Mhm.
I think I'm definitely intrigued.
All
What?
right, so let's cut to the. There's two things I want to cover, and then we'll rate this. So it cuts to the end of the series or the show. There is a tragically sad wedding. Everyone's banged up. There's nobody around. As basically they say, man and wife. The king falls over. So I'm going to ask you if you think he's dead. And then Sir Kristen, at the same time, is by the tree of the old gods, about to commit suicide. And to your point, Lady Alicent, the queen, stops him right before he stabs himself in the belly. So tell
Yeah,
me what your thoughts are on that ending sequence of the the wedding. Instead of the red wedding, we'll call it the somber wedding.
yeah,
And then again, the part at the very end with Sir Kristen and the Queen.
yeah. Like king wise, I don't think he's dead, but I think he's close. They've been hinting this whole time, right? It's all about succession. Who's going to take over? Who's going to take over? Who's going to take over? We've seen now for years, like we've talked about, his illness has been growing and growing and growing.
Yep.
So, and I know we're going to get a huge time jump in the show in
That's
an
going to be my
episode or
next
two.
question. Hold on, wait, don't answer that
Okay,
one
sorry,
yet. That's the one
but
after this.
okay, I could,
Uh,
but like, just I could see like King dying and like literally like going black, time jump. Like
yeah.
I think that's likely what's going to happen. And then
Okay,
yeah,
so then you know what? Then hold on. Let's get this out of
yeah,
the way first
okay, let's
before we go to
talk
the
about it.
stab
Yeah,
scene.
yeah,
So how like is Millie Alcock and what's her name is Allison done? Like, is this their last episode?
I was thinking about that, and
Because
I've
we
thought,
know they get replaced by older actresses.
yeah,
Amelia, somebody, and I mean the resemblance is striking. It's so good.
yeah, I
Is
saw
this it? Is this
the
it for
older
them?
Rhaenyra and the full hair and makeup, and she looked good.
Yeah,
It looked very similar to the king's cousin, the queen that never was.
yeah, Rhaenys.
Um, yeah, but
So how many years is this? Is next like you say? Like, are they going to open up next week's with him dying a week later, and then a boom 10 years later thing?
yeah, I think that's
What kind of jump you thinking?
well, I think she's supposed to be 18 or something like that right
17,
now.
18, yeah.
Yeah, she looks like she's going to age 30 or plus. So it's got to be like a 15, 20-year jump. But I don't
I'm
know.
gonna
Like it's
say no more than 10.
no.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no more than 10. Um, because it was 7 years into his reign or something like that. The show
Yeah,
started at, so I wonder if they'll keep that the same. I
yeah,
agree. I think Millie Alcock's time is done, and the girl who played Allison, they were phenomenal. They
yeah.
were
I think they were
so
great.
good.
And it kind of, if they are done, it kind of sucks for them to like start us off on that character and immediately have to go somewhere else. So I kind of hope maybe they have flashbacks that kind of fill in spots in that
Absolutely.
time jump.
Yep.
But we'll see.
Yep.
I'm not, I don't think anyone really knows quite yet what's going to happen. But I'd very much be interested to see them have some more time with the characters. So
For
we'll
sure.
see.
Okay, so before we rate it, the very last scene, The queen comes out of nowhere, stops Kristen Cole from suicide. I love your theory that she set the entire thing in motion. The green dress makes sense.
Yeah.
What is she going to do with him?
I don't know. Like, he's kind of like this ally now, right? Because she has kind of the dirt on him.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to be like, I'm going to call on you one day and you're going to do exactly what I say.
I think she becomes his spy.
Yeah.
She becomes his guy inside.
Oh, true. Into
the King's Guard.
into the
because
new,
it'll be
yeah.
Rhaenyra and Laenor.
Yeah, will be king and queen, and that'll be her inside, into as to what's happening.
You got it.
I could see that.
Yeah. All right, so let's rate it.
I don't know if I'm going to be terribly as high on this. Like I said, a lot of good drama. Like the acting's obviously great. I think everyone does a good job, but the whole visiting, like, man, like talk about like a good time to have a telephone invented, like having to travel that far just to say 4 words and leave. But like a lot of it was kind of slow up until kind of the ending there. So I'm probably going to go, like, I'm probably just, I guess, a solid 8 on this one.
I'm a full 8.5. You and I are way different on this one.
Yeah.
That episode finished. I was mortified. I was sad. I was intrigued. I was semi-fired up from everything it transpired. Like, it covered every range of emotion. The characters did their job perfectly. The shock value was there. I did not think that Sir Laenor's lover was going to die at the end of it. It was very Prince Oberyn from Game of Thrones, where you just didn't see it coming when he got crushed by the mountain. I mean,
that's to that episode
like,
too.
It could have been like the penultimate episode for me.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, because if these characters are done, what an insane episode to finish on. Like, if this is young Rhaenyra and young Alicent's end, yeah, so that's a full 8.5 for me. I love that we were finally different on one.
Yeah. Like I said, I thought it was good. It's just the first half was just a little lull for me.
It needed to build, but yeah.
No.
Yeah, right. It was awesome. All right. You and I are going to be hanging out again, I think, Wednesday
morning. If anyone's interested, we'll be breaking down the 3-part premiere of Andor.
Yeah.
Which looks phenomenal.
Bright and early for that one.
And the early reviews have all been promising thus far.
All right.
Might be the odd Star Wars show with no negativity, but we'll see. That can't happen.
We'll find them. I know a certain individual.
Maybe we'll be negative on it for a change.
I know someone on your YouTube channel that I'm sure will have something to say. We'll be sure to eat breakfast during it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much as always for coming by. Love the insight. Your pickup on the Queen and how that could work is something I admit I hadn't thought of. Really, really well done, man. I will see you in a couple days, I guess.
Yeah. See you then.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
Night, guys.
Later, everybody.